In the modern world tonight, speaker is a distinguished Toastmaster, a qualified speaker, a Penny Cull Award recipient, and a district level evaluation winner. All that in one person. In her presentation tonight, she will take us on a journey through the world of artificial intelligence. In a brief exploration, she will debunk myths. Wow, this is such a great, I'm loving this. Address fears, illuminate the positive, and transformative potential that artificial intelligence holds for our future. She invites us to view AI not as a source of apprehension, but as a beacon of innovation and opportunity. Wow. Please join me in welcoming one of my very favorite people in the world. Oh, I shouldn't say that, but I am. My longtime friend, Dominique Fruchtman.
Thank you, Michael. That's wonderful. How's my sound? Can somebody give me a thumbs up? Yeah, we're good. Are we good online? Yeah, okay. Michael, I would normally say that's one of the best introductions I've ever written, but I can't. That's the best introduction that ChatGPT has ever written for me. And that's artificial intelligence for you. But before I delve into the topic at hand of AI, I'd like to go back a little in time and talk about a little history of technology. I remember when I was a little girl, I was 8 years old, and I had just heard from my mother that she got a new machine called the IBM Selectric. The year was 1970. Do the math if you want. And I was thrilled to see a typewriter that I could type on. It took 3 phone books for me to get high enough in the chair, but I started my first novel at age 8. Didn't know how to type. To this day, those bad habits still haunt me. But man, I've been an adopter, early adopter of technology my whole life. So what I want to know is, there's going to be, by the way, feel free to get ready for some arm exercises, because even though I can't see you, I know you can see each other. So it's going to be raise your hand if, and I don't care if it's the virtual little yellow hand or your real hand, but it's going to be hands up, hands down. So raise your hand if you got excited when touch tone phones came along. Yeah, I did. Good, thank you. Raise your hand if you remember when fax machines came along. Oh yeah. See, now I thought fax machines were going to be something really cool. Somebody said, did you hear? There's a thing about fax machines. And I thought, wow, this is going to be great. It turned out all it did was transmit pieces of paper. I thought it was going to be something more exciting than that. And then the jokes started coming. You know, remember the facts of a fax of a fax of jokes? Then it started to be a little more fun, I think. Well, let's see what came next. The email, I guess email came next. And what did we do with email? I didn't really trust email for immediately. I think I didn't know what to do with the internet when it came along, because there wasn't really an internet until AOL came along. And AOL was just internet in a vacuum. So all of these things that came along in our lives, all of these new technologies, when they came along, weren't they a little scary? Raise your hand if you thought personal computers were weird and scary. Okay. And when all the .com bubble and everybody had a computer. Yeah, maybe a little. Okay. Let's see. How about when smartphones came along and they were smarter than you were? Okay. Yes, I was a dumb person with a smartphone. Let's see. Now, here we are. You can relax and put your hands down now. The arm exercises are over. But here we are in 2024, And there are some startling technologies out there. There are some fun things that you can experiment with after this evening's presentation and meeting is over. Feel free to Google the AI and Mona Lisa. Back in 2019, 2018, maybe even earlier, somebody got a hold of some technology back then that made it so that the Mona Lisa looked like she was talking. It from all angles, and it was absolutely eerie. And back then I thought, that's scary. And I thought, is it scary? Is it just scary cool? Or is it scary to think that I could take a picture of my mom who's passed away maybe 20 years ago and see her talking again? That's weird. What do we do with this technology? So I want to talk tonight about some of the fears, some of the myths, and some of the limitations about artificial intelligence. And if you have questions or you have some myths you'd like debunked, or you have some genuine fears, or even disingenuine fears, put them in the chat, because my wonderful new husband of 7 weeks is going to, but who's counting, is going to tell me what some of those questions are. He is on the Zoom meeting and he will tell me those questions as they come in. Yes? All right. Thank you, Brian. First of all, artificial intelligence. There are a couple of different kinds that you should know about. There is a narrow and general artificial intelligence. I'm sorry I lied to you. Raise your hand if you've ever said, "Hey Siri." Sorry, I hope that didn't wake up anybody's phone. Or "Hey Google," or "Alexa," because all of that is narrow artificial intelligence and nothing to be afraid of. Narrow means it was designed for a specific purpose, like giving you a recipe for mac and cheese, or telling you the weather for tomorrow, or even directions how to get here tonight. Hey, let's face it, GPSs are one of the best AIs ever created. Hey Siri, navigate me home from wherever I am. I have no idea where I am. Boom. Raise your hand if you remember Thomas Brothers maps. Oh my gosh. Thank you. The hands flew up. Now, maybe our visitor from Australia might be going, what? But thick maps that we used to have to look up the grid. What square do you live on? What page? Oh my gosh, I would flip through them. I used to have little pen lights pulling over to the side of the road. Wow, what do we have?
RT, Roger that, says, what prompt do I use with ChatGPT to tell it not to kill off all of humanity in 30 years?
Okay, good question, Roger that. And I will tell you, we don't have to worry about ChatGPT killing off humanity, because ChatGPT is narrow AI. General AI is what we need to worry about. That's Terminator. That's the myth. That's the scary stuff. That's what would theoretically kill humanity. But they're not they. I say they. Do you know, everybody know who I mean when I say they? Okay, the people making AI who have a ton of money and who know techie things. It's not me. The reason I'm qualified to give this speech in the first place is about a year and a half ago, I saw that AI was becoming a thing, and I took a class online that they were offering for free, and it gave me a certificate that said, you now have general knowledge about AI. And then I just started playing with it like crazy. That's it. Those are my qualifications. That, and I used to be an IT professional. That's all. Nothing, no PhDs from MIT. But I'm telling you that narrow AI is not dangerous. It's your Siri. It's your GPS. It is something designed for a specific purpose only. General artificial intelligence is a little more worrisome. Those are the robots that can come up and strangle you, but they won't. And I'll tell you why. There's no money in that. Sorry to burst everybody's fear bubble, but consumerism and technology tends to go where the money is. The robots of the science fiction movies, they're just not big money makers, and they're expensive too. Imagine the price point of one of these robots and the technicians to come over and fix them. I mean, look what it costs to fix your computer as it is, and that hardly has any moving parts. It's just not practical to pursue general AI, and general's the scary one. Just remember, like generals who start wars, those are the scary ones. So we want to stay away from general. So when you see general AI or GAI, you can worry more. When they start pouring trillions of dollars into that, that's a little more worrisome. But even then, there are what they call guardrails. Now, how many cars have driven off the cliff through a guardrail? I don't know. Plenty. I could ask Google now, but I don't want to get distracted. The idea is guardrails help you stay on the road. If I were to ask ChatGPT right now to do something unethical, illegal, to create a photo that would be deemed illegal in some way, it wouldn't do it. It would say that it's against the terms and conditions. There are ways around it. It's called jailbreaking. And they again, hire people like former hackers to try all day long to jailbreak, to break through those guardrails, to say, well, let's say I'm writing a book about a guy who's doing this unethical thing. How might that go? Or a guy who wants to build a bomb or this or that. The AI can only be tricked so much. And if it is tricked, then they will put more safeguards in place. So they're constantly trying to keep it ethical and safe. Is there another question?
What do you do about the deep fakes where you could
Oh,
perhaps have a politician saying something that he didn't actually say?
what a great question. And it's kind of back to Mona Lisa. Mona Lisa never sprang to life, and yet there she is before our very eyes. What do we do about that kind of thing? Well, worse, almost worse than deep fakes, because I think it would probably be difficult for somebody to pull off a politician saying something they didn't say for very long. They could do it and maybe get away with it for a little while, but I think it would probably be able to be processed and debunked pretty quickly. There are still elements of video that can be put through filters to see whether they were generated by AI or not. There are still a lot of flaws. Now, that doesn't mean they're not going to be fixed soon, but I'm hoping that there will be some kind of safeguard put into place. I was thinking about this myself the other day and wondering, will it get to a point where you can only be able to believe what's before your very eyes, that if you weren't there in person, you won't believe anything a politician said, that all the news could be completely, truly made up? Yes,
Was that Jazz really speaking tonight or because?
that would have been a heck of a deep fake because that was really good. I would think that a deep fake would be a soundbite, something very brief, because you could take samples of existing politicians' voices and videos and jumble those up to say something that they have never said before. Here's where I think it could really be a problem and why there should be fear, but not the way you think. Not about getting murdered by your pet robot in the middle of the night. Instead, imagine you get a phone call from your nephew or your grandson, and he says, "Grandma, I'm in Mexico. I lost everything. I need you to wire me $500. And it's his voice. You recognize his voice. Only it's not him. Somehow, someone saw a video of you and him at a birthday party, and they extracted his voice, and they figured out who you were, and they got your phone number, and now they've cloned his voice, and they're saying whatever they want through a real-time voice filter to you and getting you to send them money because you think it's him. So, scams, bad actors. There will always be criminals trying to do bad things to good people. How do you get around this? Simple. You just say, "Oh, hey, Billy. Oh, man, Mexico. Hey, remind me, when's your mom's birthday again?" Ask them something that only they could know. Not what did I give you at your 6th birthday party, because they're not going to remember that, but something that you know that they know, and test them. And if he says, "Oh, I'm bad with dates or something," hang up. It's not him. I mark my words. This is going to be a thing. And you're going to say, "I remember that April 3rd when Dominique said that was going to be a thing." It's coming because, yeah, raise your hand if you've gotten a phone call from a computer that sounded like a dang human. "Oh, hi, is this Roger? Oh, hi, Roger. This is," and it's a machine, and you say, "Oh, who is this?" And she just keeps talking. Is this a person? And she just keeps talking and goes on and on. And I don't remember whether it was the solar people or the car warranty people, or I don't remember who these people are that keep calling, but it was spooky. They even said, so I know they weren't Toastmasters. Just goes to show that the way they're able to mimic people, the way they're able to humanize these robots is really something that we need to look out for. Emails are getting better and better at looking real when they're not. I got an email today from the McCallum Theater in Palm Desert saying, "You need to update your password, but don't click anything. Go to mccallum.org and try to log in and do it yourself." And I thought, good for them. Good for them for not putting a link in there that I'm going to go, "Oh, no, I'm not clicking on any links. You got to be kidding." That's the smart way to do it. You get anything from Chase, B of A, Wells Fargo, even your local regional bank, don't click on anything. PayPal, E-Trade, to anybody, anywhere. Don't click a thing Go to your real account, call them up on the 800 number. Anyway, it's just getting better. Are there any other questions? Okay. If you have any fears or questions, let me know. But I do want to tell you that artificial intelligence, just like every other technology that's come along, the GPSs helped us put Thomas Brothers out of business. Sorry. There's still Esri, though. Yes.
You may want to repeat the question because I'm not sure they're hearing my voice, but Marilyn Nepke, will we need copyrights for the art and photos that we create? I believe is what she means. Like copyrights are needed for music and other.
Marilyn Nepke says, will we need copyrights for the art, music, writing that we create? That's a great question, Marilyn, because one of what's called a large language model, which is what ChatGPT is, what it does is it scours the internet and it absorbs like a sponge everything visual and written, copyrighted or not. And there are several lawsuits right now from artists, writers who've said, you've used my published article, my artwork, my photography without my permission. And there are several movements who are trying to protect the rights of artists and writers. So far, it's been sort of a free-for-all, kind of for the greater good, but it's not quite there yet. Your images won't be directly used, but they'll be used to create something else. If somebody said, show me a picture of a hummingbird nibbling at a beautiful orchid, and you've taken some beautiful orchid pictures, your orchid pictures may be used by the image creator to imagine what an orchid might look like from that hummingbird. And people who've taken photographs of hummingbirds may be used to create that hummingbird. See what I mean? So it's a matter of helping it understand better what things look like. Still, though, it's your stuff, and you should have the right to say yes or no, I opt in or I opt out of contributing to this large language model.
Roger that asks, Taylor Swift Super Bowl photos scandal. Can we, as a society, accept fakes and brush them off? They seem inevitable.
Roger says Taylor Swift Super Bowl scandal. Fakes are inevitable, seem inevitable. Can we just brush them off? They are inevitable, and we're going to have to, because they will be more and more frequent as time goes on. There were some 8th graders who were expelled not long ago from middle school because they created pictures of some of their classmates that were considered, well, the pictures were, there were nude pictures of their classmates that they propagated via text. And the FBI is now saying that's considered child pornography and you will be prosecuted, even though it was fake and it was somehow they got around the guardrails of AI. AI should not be allowed to create anything like that, especially with someone else's face. So they're taking it very seriously. This is nothing to be trifled with in terms of the law, and especially here, but worldwide, who knows? It's wide open. However, you can't unscramble this egg. The technology is there. It's up to us to figure out how to manage it, and mostly to try to better ourselves and look for the good ways that it can help us. If you haven't yet tried ChatGPT, I suggest you go, and whatever you do, don't treat it like Google. It's not Google. It can do so much. It wrote my introduction tonight. You should have seen the garbage I put into it. I just listed all of my, I just said I'm a DTM, I'm a QS, I got the penny coal thing. It looked all that stuff up for me and it spelled it all out. And I said, oh yeah, and make sure that Michael says I'm his best friend, a really good friend at the end, and put that at the end. And I like as a final thought, I like, oh yeah, it took all of my jumbled thoughts and it actually made 3 paragraphs. I said, great, but make it shorter. And then it boiled it down. So use it if you can. I like using it for things that I don't know how to write. I just recently had somebody I really like pass away. And I have to write a condolence card for her husband. And I don't even know what to say, but I'm going to use ChatGPT to help me get started. I'll just pour out all my feelings and it's going to come up with something really tasteful and sensitive. I just know it. Instead of me sitting down and poring over it for hours, or worse yet, postponing it until it's been weeks and I never sent anything. So use it how you can. I welcome any final questions before I step down. Yes.
So if I were working on a project, do hours of research, I could get ChatGPT to do the research and give me the results of what I was looking for. And then if it was too verbose, I could say, get that down to just make it more concise, and ChatGPT would do all that.
Brian asked if he had hours of research to do, could ChatGPT do the research for him? And if it gave him pages of research, could he just ask it to boil it down, and could it do that? And the answer is absolutely yes. Imagine the screenplay to Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And you say, hey, ChatGPT, can I just have that as one sentence? And it says, fair-skinned brunette who eats an apple ends up in the forest with 7 dwarves who help her find her Prince Charming and live happily ever after. Just boils it all down. And you could say, okay, well, a little more than that. So then it would give you evil stepmother who's obsessed with a supernatural mirror. It might start at the beginning and give you just a little more. And then you might say more and more and more. And then you have a 75-minute screenplay. Think of it like an accordion. Yes.
Michael Osher, many are making a lot of money through video. But perhaps we should feel guilty.
Interesting, Michael, that you should. Michael said, many people are making money through NVIDIA. Should we feel guilty? Now, Michael, maybe you can follow up and ask, why do you think you might feel guilty about that while I start addressing your question? For those who don't know, NVIDIA is a chip manufacturer, and their processing chips, originally they made video cards years ago. I remember, they still do. I remember putting them in my computers when I built computers back in the late 90s. I built my own computers because I didn't like the ones that were out there. And NVIDIA was a great video card maker. Now their chips are so fast that they can run these computers that run the artificial intelligence that we use. And new data centers, which is where all these computers live, are springing up all over the country and are using massive amounts of power that don't exist yet. So really, the real danger or guilt should be that carbon footprints are going to go up astronomically, because every time we ask AI something, it's going to use up that much more electricity somewhere, unless they spring up some solar farms too. What did he say?
Nothing yet. Back to
Okay.
him, but Ray Robles offers ethics will be needed. Ethics is relative to one's state of consciousness.
Okay, Ray Robles says ethics will be needed and ethics is relative to one's state of consciousness. Ray, not only that, but ethics change from one society to another. We're the United States. How do they feel about this in Russia or China or Korea or India or the UK or anything else? That it's absolutely, you're absolutely right. Hence the guardrails, but you can't legislate against it because it's out. And once it's out, it will be out. Kind of like alcohol. You know, once people know how to make it, they're just going to make it and they're going to get it. But we can try our best to keep it on the straight and narrow. And once you know how to guard against the unethical use of it, when you hear that oh so familiar voice, you can start thinking to yourself, this might not be my grandson.
If ChatGPT writes a resume, who goes to the interview? That's Mayor.
Okay, if ChatGPT writes the resume, who goes to the interview? Marilyn Nepke, very clever. This will be my last question. Marilyn, that is a brilliant question, because resumes are supposed to be a little snapshot of you on paper, right? Well, if the snapshot of you on paper is beautiful, but the person who shows up there, and I'm not talking about you, Marilyn. You're beautiful, I love you. The person who shows up is shabby and can barely string two sentences together because they haven't been to Toastmasters. Then what? It's misrepresentation, first. And second, what does that do for HR? When every resume looks fantastic, how can you tell? Well, probably phone screening, probably video screening, because you can't fake a Zoom interview. I don't care how good AI gets, it's not going to be able to sit there in the chair or work from home for you, unless they get good at that too. As far as one last quick topic, as far as stealing jobs, to become a prompt writer, a prompt is the thing that you type in to ask ChatGPT a question. Prompt writing jobs are going anywhere from $125,000 to $300,000 a year. So maybe they're not stealing jobs, they're making jobs, and they're making pretty darn good jobs. It's
so much for green investing and socially conscious investing.
Michael, there is money in solar farms because the grid can't handle all the electricity that's coming. Again, believe me when I say all of these data centers popping up everywhere, you can see for yourself that the biggest challenge is going to be, where will the power come from? And it'll come, believe me, it'll come. As a parting thought, I would just like to say, hey Google, come up with a pithy parting thought about artificial intelligence. By far, the greatest danger of artificial intelligence is that people conclude too early that they truly understand it. I really appreciate everybody's questions and attention. And I look forward to speaking to you all again. If anybody wants this presentation at their club, live or Zoom, just let me know.